Okay, what we're going to be drawing today is we're going to recreate this ring pop. So we're going to first start with the jewel part up here. We're going to draw 3 different octagons. So we're going to do this bottom one, the middle one here, and this very top one. And we're going to use a tool called Loft, and we're going to bring those different pieces together. So if you have a blueprint, you can use that, or if you actually have the ring pop, you can pull measurements from that actual ring pop. So what we need to get started is we're going to start with just a blank part. I'm going to go ahead and create a sketch on my top view here. So I'm going to click on that. And what I need to do is I need to create an octagon. So if I go up to my rectangles here, I'm going to go down to polygon, set my center. Now here I have a choice of either doing an inscribed or circumscribed. Inscribed is going to the point, circumscribed is going to the edge. I know for this one my edge dimensions for the bottom one is going to be 0.585, at least on the ring pop that I reverse engineered. So I'm first going to just go ahead and start with that. Now generally I want to see it locked fully dimensioned. You notice it still says there's 1 dimension needed. That 1 dimension is essentially rotation. So my object's kind of locked in space, but it could still go through and rotate. So if I want to constrain that, I can just simply put like a horizontal constraint to that point. And then you notice it changed color, so it locks it in. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click Finish. What I want to do is I want to go to my Origin folder where my top view was here. I'm going to right click on that plane and I'm going to turn on the visibility. So that was the plane that my sketch was created in. Now we talked about doing 3 different layers for our ring pop. So we want to go from our bottom to our second one. So we need to know what that height difference is, and what we're going to do is we're going to offset that sketch. So if I come up here and I click Sketch, I'm going to click and hold on this plane and start pulling in a certain direction. In this case I'm going to pull up, and I know my distance is 0.715, at least on the ring pop that I have, and that's my height. So if I look at my 3D image here, you see that we have that distance apart. So that's that 3rd dimension that we're looking at. So again, I'm going to draw a polygon. I'm going to do a circumscribed one. It's going to be bigger. This time I'm going to measure across my octagon here, and it should be 0.86 for this one. And again, if I want to lock those points in, I'm just going to use that horizontal constraint and just click those 2 endpoints. That prevents my octagon from rotating. Okay. Now for the next one, I need to create another work plane. For this one, I can either go off my one up here or go from the very bottom. I'm just going to go from the existing one. Another way to create the plane, so instead of clicking Sketch and clicking and holding, what I can actually do is I can come up here and I can create a work plane here, and then again click and hold. The only difference here is that after I create the work plane, I'm actually going to have to create a sketch as well. So I have my work plane, but notice it didn't create a sketch, so I still have to come over here and click Sketch and click on my work plane. So again, do polygon. This time I'm going to make it the same size as my first one, which was 0.585. Now if I know that they're going to be the same like I do here, what I can actually do is just click here and it references that dimension. So it doesn't put in the number, it does D0. If you notice up here, there's a reference point on each one of these. So it's just like putting in a variable into a math equation. The nice thing with this is that if I ever change this bottom dimension, my top dimension is going to change too. Now if you notice here, I put this in at an angle so it's not lined up with the others, just to kind of show how I'm locking that in, because notice it's still green. When I put that horizontal constraint in, notice it spins it back around. Now if you didn't offset these, all of these would be on the same plane, but notice here we have 3 different planes. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to use our loft tool. So it's right here, just next to the right of revolve. So with loft, what we can do is we can either click the sketches on the screen here, or we can click them over in the modeling toolbar. Now notice I've got to do this in 2 different lofts, because if I try and do all of them at once, see how it kind of blows things up a little bit? So I only want those 2, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click loft again. This time I'm just going to click this top face like that, and then I'm going to click that last sketch, and then that's what gets me my shape. Now I still have those work planes in there. I don't want to delete them, but what I can do is I can right click and turn the visibility off. Now what I need to do is I need to go through and build the base of my ring.